Hey guys, welcome to our midweek focus. If you're part of our public church family, thanks for joining us. Maybe you're checking out public church through this, so thank you for joining us as well. If we haven't met, my name is Todd.
And I'm Whitney.
And well, why are we outside on our deck, and what time of day is it?
So it's the morning time, and yes, lots of coffee. And we are out here because our boys are asleep inside, so we can do this out here and be louder.
Yes, I love that. And here's our heart for this time is we just want to intersect your daily life because Jesus wants to meet us there. See, following Jesus is not a Sunday activity, but an every moment lifestyle. So we're here in our morning, whatever time of day you're watching, we want to meet you in your routine or lack thereof in this season. And that's why we're actually changing the title of this time for next week to
Embracing the Journey. Those of you that are part of our church family have heard this term a lot. It's actually part of our vision statement.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make it very clear that I was just spending time with Jesus one day and he just gave me this phrase.
No. That embracing the journey has been a part of my life before Todd, and then obviously when he came into my life, he took it. So.
Borrowed it, we use it together, which leads us to what we're talking about.
That's
relationships.
Right.
So look, maybe in this season you want to kill your spouse. Maybe in this season you feel like COVID-19 has killed your chances of ever finding a spouse. But have we had any tension-filled moments in quarantine?
No, none at all. We've been great.
I mean, just completely great. Thanks, guys. Have a good day. No, we've definitely had some moments. I think most of them, we're going to go like 99.9%, have at least started with me being my fault, but whatever.
No.
We have worked through that, and we just wanted to share a mindset that has really helped us not only navigate this season, but every season, and it's the mindset of being teammates. That the way we view our marriage is we are teammates. And honestly, that just doesn't come from our experience or watching others, which that's a part of it, but also comes from a couple in Acts, Aquila and Priscilla.
Yeah, and we'll find them in Acts 18, and it's when they meet Apollos, and it says, "Meanwhile, a Jew named Apollos, an eloquent speaker who knew the scriptures well, had arrived in Ephesus from Alexandria in Egypt. He had been taught the way of the Lord, and he taught others about Jesus with an enthusiastic spirit and with accuracy. However, he knew only about John's baptism. When Priscilla and Aquila heard him preaching boldly in the synagogue, they took him aside and explained the way of God even more accurately."
That's awesome. And really the key word there that we're focusing on today is they.
Yeah.
So they together taught him the word. They together took him aside. They together taught him how to be a more accurate speaker. And they really discipled him together. And so this whole idea of together and being teammates has been huge for us in our marriage. So really, where did this start, Whip?
Yeah, when we were, well, the first time, I guess, was when we first met, and we were just really good. We literally had just met that week at a youth camp. And
Shout out to Jason Cox, North Cleveland Baptist.
Yes. If you've heard our story, you've heard this before. But we just felt like then we rode 8 hours home, and we began talking about ministry and just each of our passions, because we were both doing ministry separately at the time, and just how natural it was to do that together, how we were seeing it. Of course, we were just friends at that time, but it kind of gave us hope of what could be, I guess, in a spouse.
Yeah.
Maybe not in each other at the time, but how someone could be so like-minded with our heart, or with what my passion was or what his passion was. And so fast forward a little bit, ended up dating, and he was coaching football, and I just wanted to be a part in some way. Obviously, at the time I knew nothing about football, and still don't know that much, but I wanted to be a part of what he was doing because I knew he was so passionate about football. And
Go Bears.
Yes, go Bears. And so I was able to help Jen Moore out with cheerleading at Bradley. Not a cheerleader at all, but I was able to just come alongside her and do some devotions and really become chaplain for the year. And that was like where we began joining each other in our ministries. And so.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And I think part of the key to being a teammate is there have to be times when both of you are leading and both of you are in the supporting role.
Yeah.
If one person is always leading, the other person is always kind of, well, I'm just going to support and ride your coattails, man, that's not a true partnership.
Right.
And that's not what Priscilla and Aquila were doing.
Yeah.
So if you look at, from my angle, Whitney was at UTC, go Mox, in the interior design program, which is very challenging. So I wanted to come alongside her in that. So a lot of times that meant bringing coffee, bringing chilies down, and I'll.
Salsa.
Oh man, and I will never forget. I walked in. It was your freshman year, I think. They had a project due at like 9.
No, sophomore.
Sophomore year, yeah. So they all had a project due at 9. I walked in like their whole class is working, and I got there about 8:45, and I think was it dinner or coffee? I can't remember.
I don't know. I don't remember either. It's such a blur.
Yeah, I was bringing something, and it was a mess. I mean, estrogen overload. There were people crying. Like everybody's freaking out.
I wasn't crying.
Not yet. Just kidding. And then the teacher walked in. I mean, I'm there. The professor walks in. She extends the deadline to 10. Everybody kind of gathers themselves and then locks back. I mean, it was crazy, but I got to be a part of that, and it was a way that I could support her. So that's what being a teammate's all about. So let's fast forward into this COVID-19 season.
Yeah.
How has this played out for us now?
So I think the first week was pretty challenging for me of figuring out like he was gonna still be working, and I felt like I was just at home, which is good. But really, just trying to figure out how I can come alongside him and still do ministry, still partner as a team, and so it was really good because it honestly made us communicate more.
Yeah.
So he might have been more on the front end of communication and things like that with different people, but we were able to come back and in the afternoon talk about things, dream a little bit, problem solve a little bit, and I think that was really good for us to just to have that time to communicate, and it taught me a lot that sometimes my role is behind the scenes, which is okay, and how to encourage him in this time because it's definitely a stressful time, as many of you probably are experiencing. So I think that's one way is just being able to communicate, and because it's not always just doing something as a team, it's also the support like you were talking about, but just that communication. And then then as kind of the weeks progressed, we figured out our roles. And so you've been able to support me in times of if I can go out and serve, and I think that was really good. So kind of the roles flipped a little bit.
That's really good. Yeah, I think last Wednesday was a great example of that. And we're saying, like, we've seen you guys do that too. Like Joe and Micah, you guys talked on Instagram Live about this. Courtney and John Bros, we've seen you guys do this. And that's just a couple of examples. Tom and Cindy, I mean, ever since we've known you, we've seen you guys operate as a team. But for us, last Wednesday, I said, hey, I'll keep the boys in the morning. I'll take care of them. And then during that time, Whitney was able to go serve and be out. And then we flipped. And when she got home, then I was able to work and do my stuff. And she was with the boys. And so, again, it took communication. We didn't wake up Wednesday and go, what are we going to do? We had to have a plan. And we've been there, and it doesn't go well. So that's from experience.
Really, that first week.
Yes. Welcome to the first week. The tension. But just that communication, I think, was really key for us. And if I could just encourage maybe the spouse who may not have as visibly prominent a role. Like for me, I think my role is probably a little bit more visibly prominent at this stage in our life. But I think it's super important for me to step into the shadows at times and really support Whitney. I'll never forget the first Flourish. Shout out to all our Flourish ladies. After Liam was born.
Flourish.
Oh, yes. I forgot about it. But I loved it because it was the first time that I could tangibly say, I've got Liam, you go lead and do your thing. And honestly, if we go back to this season, I love Wednesday nights when Whitney's at public worship practice because it's guys' night and we have so much fun and it's such a special time. I get to do bedtime, I get to do these things, and so that's a way that I love it. I get time with the boys and she gets to go lead and do the things that she's passionate about. And so I think it's just that mindset of noticing, okay, I've been kind of prominent and she's been supporting for a while. We need to reverse that because we both need to be able to pursue our passions.
I think that's the key is finding what your passion is, and then communicating about it to see how it's going to work in your lifestyle or in the season that you're in. Obviously for me right now, a lot of my time is spent at home because we have a 2-year-old and we have an 8-month-old. So I have the privilege of staying home right now. So a lot of my time is devoted to being home. But there are still passions that I have that I want to serve or I would like to do things. And just communicating that so that he can be that supportive role for me to be able to go out or do something or even have a phone call or a Zoom meeting, because we're all doing that, right? So I think that's key in this time too, and in any time, is just being able to communicate what those passions are and then how to support each other in those roles. And there'll be times when you're doing the same thing together, which is awesome. We had an opportunity to do that early on in our ministry and both serve in youth ministry.
Yes.
And that was really the beginning of our ministry, I feel like. And so, but now we might be serving in different areas, but that's okay, because we're figuring out ways how we can support each other, like we did way back when football and cheerleading was the thing. So yeah, I think communicating and finding what your passion is individually.
Yeah, and I think it's key too to try to find those moments in any season where you can actually go do something together. Last Friday night, we got to go deliver a Salvation Army with Cody and Hannah.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. Thankfully, we both have family that could watch our boys and watch Annie and Jackson for them. And it was just really cool to be able to do something with them, but just with us together too. And so find those things. And I just encourage you, I know that you may be sitting here going, but what about this? And what about this? And what about this? Something Whitney's taught me is to pray for those things. I know a big challenge for her was childcare. Okay, who's going to watch Liam and Oliver and take really good care of them? And could you just share what your prayer was?
Yeah, I just prayed for a family to come alongside me so that I could continue ministry. Yes, my boys are my ministry, but to be able to do a little bit more outside the home. And my sister Ashley challenged me to pray. Why don't you just pray for someone specifically? Pray for a family. And so I prayed for a woman to come alongside me who's a little bit older than me, who was an empty nester, that could help me. And I'm gonna cry, but a few months later, God provided that. And I don't take it lightly, because I want to be able to, I want my kids to be taken care of, but I also want to be able to serve people. And so God definitely answered that in abundance, because there's multiple people within that same family to help me. And just shout out to the Parisi family. Thank you. You've been a blessing to us. And so I think prayer was huge in that, and it taught me to pray. I wanted something instantly. I wanted someone right then. But God was like, hey, hold on, I've got something for you, and I think that was really important for us in our life in the season that we're in, because I could just be at home and not be involved in much, which is also good, but that wasn't my personality, my passion, and so finding that was key, so yeah.
I love it. And I think too, just talking to your family, I know that like my mom and dad, so grand and granddad, they love it. And so they've got Grandparents' Day, which was yesterday, and loving that. And Whitney's mom, Brenda, I mean, she's phenomenal. She works out of town some and in town, but she'll come in, and like a lot of Sundays now, she's with Whitney, just helping with the boys and doing things. And so I think just communicating with your family and prayer. And so, yeah, again, thank you, Precies. You guys, it's hard to articulate the impact that you're having on our family. And so we love you guys a ton. And so just to end, I just want to challenge you guys, or we just want to challenge you guys that are married, like let's all find ways to be teammates. I think that's going to help alleviate some of the tension if we're all working towards a common vision and we're actively finding ways to maybe step in the background and support each other, to defer. I think that's huge in this season. And if you're single, just think about that. Like, you want to find somebody who you can team up with, who can be a teammate for you. And I know something that Whitney and I've talked about quite a bit is, if we weren't married, we would both be serving in the church, in ministry, because that's what we were doing when we found each other. And so, like, that hasn't changed, but what has changed is now God brought us together, and we can do more together than we ever could separately. And that's where the immeasurably more comes in, through the marriage. So hopefully this has encouraged you guys. Whit, is there anything you want to add?
No, we love you guys, and obviously our journey is we're still learning a lot, so it's I feel like every season we're learning something new. As many of you, I'm sure, are saying, yes, just wait. Wait till your kids are in their, in your past your toddler phase. You're gonna have to recreate something. But I think it's just being patient and learning in the season that you're in, and again, communicating with your spouse about those passions, about those desires, the ways that the way your heart works as far as serving and that kind of thing, because that's what's key, really. And this shameless plug, watch our Instagram live Thursday night, because
Yes.
Tom and Cindy, who have been married, I'm not going to say how
Several
long.
years,
Yeah.
just a lot of wisdom.
Yes.
you know.
But they're sharing, and they're going to be on here answering some questions, and they've been doing this a lot longer than us. And so I think if you want to see more, go check that out on Thursday.
That's awesome.
So,
It's Thursday night at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And just for this section of Embracing the Journey, I'll say we'll be releasing this every Wednesday, and it's going to look different. Our goal is 15 minutes. Right now we're at 16. 15 minutes for me means 10 to 20. Okay, let's be honest. And
well,
sometimes,
I like to talk, so.
sometimes it'll be just me. Sometimes it'll be Whitney and I. Sometimes it'll be a guest and me. We're just going to mix it up. But again, our hope is that we can just intersect our daily lives, because Jesus wants to meet us in the grind, in the mundane, and he wants to do immeasurably more right here. So we love you guys and look forward to seeing you next time.
Bye.